嘛，我愿意坐得下，不坐得上。但是这两位三步一拜的修行人呢，是我的徒弟。我要不坐在上边呢，他们也不敢坐在上边。所以呀，我这不得已呀，我先坐在上边。那么坐在上边呢，一边留一个空位，给他们两位坐。本来摆这个台的人呢，我不知道为什么摆了四个座位在上面。另外一个人我不知道啊是算的哪一个，但是我想一想，叫谁上来好呢？叫果瞻上来，果行回这就不合处；叫果义上来，回这果修也合处。说这个做师傅的完全不公平。那么虽然这是坐在上边和下边没有什么分别，但是这个人呢就是这么奇怪。你有一个境界来了，你做的不太公平啊，他就要找麻烦。所以啊，那么我叫果龟把这个凳子拿下去一个，你们谁也不要争谁也不要喝醋谁也不要妒忌，谁也不要杠。我跟你们讲话。
Originally, I wanted to sit down. I did not want to sit on the platform today.
但是这两位三步一拜的修行人呢，是我的徒弟。我要不坐在上边呢，他们也不敢坐在上面。所以
But these two cultivators who bowed are my disciples, so I really couldn't avoid sitting up here on the platform. And there were two places up here for them to sit. Now the people who set up the platform, I don't know why, but someone put up 4 chairs. And I don't know who the 4th person was that they had in mind. And I thought it over about what I was going to do, because if I had Guojan take that seat, then maybe Guohan would have gotten jealous. And if Guoyi got up there, then maybe Guosho would have been drinking vinegar. And saying that their teacher was really unfair. Now, although we know that whether you're sitting on the platform or you're not, it really doesn't make any difference. But people can be really strange. If you have some kind of gathering and people get seated in the wrong places, some people are going to start grumbling. So I told Guogui to take that extra chair away, and that way nobody would have to be jealous or upset. So as long as I was up here, sitting up here, I thought I might as well say a few words.
我讲话也是真是头脑糊涂了，讲话也讲不清楚。你们听得清楚，比我讲的清楚好得多。
Now, I thought I'd go ahead and say a few things, and I'm not a very good speaker, but that doesn't matter. If you're just good listeners, that's what counts.
你们这个脑筋不要像我这么糊涂。那么两位传不明白的，所以他也不敢讲话。我现在。
Now, maybe the two cultivators might not want to speak.
先来给我把地扫干净了。
So I thought I'd first sort of pave the way, sweep the road.
等着他们走这条路啊，他们也不会害怕。
And then once that was done, they wouldn't be afraid.
我虽然没有传播一代呀，但是我在家里呀，在这个庙上等着他们传播一代呀，虽然比他们传播一代更困难。
Now, although I didn't go out and bow once every 3 steps, I think that it's possible that back at the temple where I was working harder than they were. I was enduring even more suffering.
我在这啊，天天呢，都要令他们没有什么大麻烦。
Now, why do I say this? It's because every day I was very busy helping to prevent them from having any big problems. That was what I was hoping to do. I'm not saying that I could do it actually, but I was wishing for this.
这样的没有什么坏脚的啦。我希望呢，不是说一般外国人。
See, you have to note I said I was hoping they would have no trouble. I wasn't saying I was keeping them from having trouble. So you should note how carefully this is phrased. 他的出门好像有什么女孩子们，他的出去传播一代又出了麻烦了。 And this was so that, well, let's say there was some problem, then people would have gone around saying, oh, that Dharma master, he says he has spiritual penetrations, but then why did his disciples get in trouble in their bowing?
所以这个，我虽然不好面子，但是也要想他在保护着这两位传播一代。
Now, it's not that I really care, but about my reputation.
免得他们在路上啊。
In this way, but I still wanted to prevent them from, say, getting run over, or in some other kind of an accident, maybe blown away by the wind or drowned. So that would have been a problem. So that's why I say I may have been working even harder than they were.
他们是能有在路上啊，风吹雨淋日晒，这么样子都不怕。所以我们现在是。
So they were out on the road all this time, and they weren't afraid of the wind or the rain or the sun, the heat of the sun. And so nobody here today is allowed to wear a hat. Anybody who's got their hat on is disrespectful of the cultivators. ？So somebody tried to give me an umbrella. How could I possibly go for something like this? I mean, what would it look like? Nobody else has an umbrella, and I'm a big sissy up here with an umbrella. So I'm trying to act like the emperor. So I want to be just like all of you. And if the sun is really getting to you, then go ahead and put your hats back on. Because I've got some hair up here. Doesn't matter. But those of you who have just shaved your heads, the sun might blister your head off.
不要听我这个话啊！
So you shouldn't do what I tell you to do.
我说的话是半真半假的，
Because everything I say is half true and half false.
告诉你，不是完全真的，也
It's not entirely
不
true,
是完全假的。
and it's not entirely false.
你要是认为假的那件事有道理，你就信那个假的；
If the false part makes sense to you, then believe in that.
你要认为真的那个有道理，就信那个真的。
And if you think the true part makes sense, then believe in that.
所以你自己选择。
It's up to you. You pick whatever you want.
我这个不能说清楚，
I can't speak this too clearly.
说清楚那你自己没有白打眼呢。
Because if I told you the whole thing, then you wouldn't be using your own judgment, your own Dharma selecting eye.
说什么都叫我来叫你，
And if you insist on me telling you absolutely
不
everything,
对。
that's not really right.
所以我不可以说一半对的，一半不对的。
So I'm just going to tell you that it's half true and half false.
听懂了吗？你们，你们听我那一半不对的，就被我骗了。
Do you understand now? If you pick the false part to believe in, then you'll get cheated by
你
me.
现在我那一半对的，那就是依法修行。
But if you pick the part that's true, then you cultivate according to the Dharma,
就得利益。
and you'll gain benefit.
那么他要这两位三对一拜的，也是因为在过去听我那个上一半一半的，一半真的，一半假的，他们就是把那一半真的拿去了，也去办去了。
Now, probably what happened were the monks, the Valley monks, listened to this half and half teaching of mine, and they managed to pick out the true half, cultivate according to that.
这去修行去了，一半假的放了一边了。
And they just let the false part be.
正常。
That's all. That's all there was to it. Okay?
The master just asked me while we were bowing up if I had died yet, and I should explain this so nobody will get the wrong impression that the master was maybe wishing bad luck on myself. The dying that the master was talking about was the dying of the self, the dying of desire, and not the dying of the person, not the dying of the cultivator. I should be really careful because everything speaks the Dharma. The wind speaks the Dharma. When I open my mouth and don't speak really truly, then retribution comes. And it's right here that disasters begin. So maybe this vase is speaking the Dharma and saying, Heng Chau, this is a warning. Everything you say should be really true and right on the mark, and not the least bit arrogant or false, because if it's that way, then for sure something bad is going to happen. Not just for you, but for all living beings, because you're a left-home person. And because you're a left-home person, then everything you do is for everybody, and not just for yourself. So the wind was giving me a warning to be really careful. So I should listen. And that's really what I want to talk about. That's an example of the Dharma that we've learned from 2.5 years of bowing, is to be really true and really honest very straightforward in everything we do. A newsman came up and asked, "Why are you bowing?" And I said, "We are bowing to try to get rid of disasters and calamities and suffering in the world." And he said, "Well, what do you mean? Do you mean man-made disasters like broken homes and unfilial children and car accidents? Or do you mean natural disasters like earthquakes and tornadoes and floods and famine?" And I said, "We mean both, because both are the same. Both come from the same source." And he said, "I don't understand." And when Heng Chau and I started this pilgrimage, we didn't understand either. We were brought up in a Western society, educated according to the best scientific traditions, so quite naturally, we didn't believe in anything but our egos and ourselves. We didn't believe that, as it says in the Avatamsaka Sutra, all karma is born of, all retribution is born of karma. That is, everything that happens to you comes from what you do. So we decided that it was a matter of life and death to us to be really careful on what we were doing on Sambui Bai and to run a little scientific experiment so that we would have something to share with people who didn't believe this. Because if you don't believe this, then there's no way to end suffering. No one saves you but yourself. No one can and no one may. You yourself must walk the path. The Buddhas only show the way. So the Master says he speaks half true and half false. If you don't know which one to follow, then you can be in really bad straits. If you know which one to follow, then every day is happy, everywhere is peaceful. So I wanted to share just a little bit today of some of the experiments we ran on Sambui Bai and what we learned from them. And I really seek the compassion of the Avatamsaka Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to help me make sure that my words are true and not arrogant or false for the sake of all beings. The two outstanding lessons of this whole pilgrimage are both within the Flower Adornment Sutra. One is that everything is made from the mind alone. And the second is that everything that happens to you comes from what you do. First day we started out in Los Angeles, we found this to be the case. Right away we met all manner of strange people and beings who came to test our vows. They came to test Heng Chau's silence vows and trying to see if they could get him to talk. They tested our vows not to get angry by really pushing us up against the wall with testing situations. And in all of this, we were instructed right from the beginning that no matter what happened, we couldn't fight and we couldn't get angry. And that all we could use was kindness, compassion, joy, and giving to deal with all situations. This was really hard for me because I'm used to fighting. Not so much with fists, but with words and with thoughts. And using to push my weight around. And this is just another kind of fighting and it doesn't work. We found that when we held our precepts, this is really important. The 5 precepts are the basis of everything. If you can hold the 5 precepts, not only are you assured of never being born in the lower regions as a hell, a hungry ghost, or an animal, you're always assured of being born at least as a human being. This is really important. And if you keep your vows, if you make vows and keep your vows, then wherever you go, you'll be okay. We found this to be the case when we started bowing and bowed up to Vandenberg Air Force Base. And at this time, incredible storms came up. I guess you'd call them typhoons. There were winds up to and exceeding 100 miles an hour all throughout the area. and heavy flooding. Trailer trucks and semis were blowing off the road, and whole little towns were completely leveled by these winds. At this time, we hadn't really done anything too bad. So we had kept our precepts pretty much, and we were holding tight to our vows, and for some reason we came through okay. We never got touched by the winds, and we never really got touched by the rain. Wherever we went, who was ever looking after us and taking care of us was really compassionate. And we came out okay. In fact, days went by when it was pouring rain and it never rained on us. And as soon as we started false thinking about, gee, it's not raining on us, we got drenched. There have been times when we could actually feel the presence of, I don't know what to say, protecting spirits. Not only of our teacher, but of spiritual beings around us, protecting us. This happened at the beginning in Los Angeles. I'm sure at one time had a vision of Lord Bodhisattva just before an accident took place, and there was no accident as a result. His young daughter was running off with men. She was only 15 years old at the time. He was really worried. He was really mistreating his young child, physically and emotionally, and he and his wife were contemplating getting a separation. After reading the Vinaya, he put it to practice, and about 7 or 8 months later, they stopped on their way to a vacation, and they all looked really good. They were all together, happy. The younger daughter, older daughter, had come back home and was living with them again. And the kids were really bright-eyed and happy, and they attributed to that book, to reading the Vinaya, following the rules. And they said, it may seem really old-fashioned, but it's made a big difference in my life. So we really found that all our problems come from selfishness, and all disasters come from greed, anger, and stupidity. We've seen this in bigger ways too, and I want to talk about these because they don't often get talked about. Heng Chau and I have been really skeptical about these things, but now I've come to really believe them. For example, it's a fact that there haven't been earthquakes in San Francisco. Now, why is this the case? And San Francisco is right on the San Andreas Fault Zone, and it should have earthquakes. It should have gone under into the ocean a long time ago. And it's clearly because of the vow power and precept way virtue of our teacher. I don't say this to give anybody a high hat because we've been told not to give high hats. So I'm giving a high hat to the power of the Dharma and to the power of pure precepts, that the way and the response intertwine and hard to conceive of. That if you're really pure, then magic things happen to you. And the city of San Francisco hasn't had any earthquakes, nor has Hong Kong, when we were there, had any typhoons when the Master was there, because of the same thing, because of cultivation, because of the power of pure precepts. When we were in LA, we rode down to LA and we barely made it to LA. The storms were so bad, the roads were flooded out, and we were in the blue VW bus at the time. We floated through a couple of puddles on the highway, where the tires weren't even touching the ground. It was so heavy. We got to LA and there was a medicine master repentance ceremony going on. And all the people in the LA area had come to Go-Wheel Temple and were holding the medicine master repentance to eradicate the causes and conditions of disasters and illness and suffering and calamities. And at this time it was really strange because the mayor of Los Angeles had declared a state of emergency. In fact, many homes had been wiped out and things were bad and there was more storms coming in. And yet, the Go-Wheel Temple in the surrounding area, nothing happened. And many of the disciples came back and reported at that time that in their neighborhood, huge trees had gone down and ruined homes right next door to them, but in their own homes, nothing had happened either. And at this time, I remember it being said that this was attributed to the sincerity of the people participating in that weekend medicine master repentance. We witnessed it ourselves. It was really hard to believe. Not only that, but during the repentance, a huge tidal wave was coming in off the ocean, and somewhat short of the city of Los Angeles, suddenly dissipated and was gone. With every thought, with every act, with every word that Heng Chau and I have ever said or done or thought of that has been marked with greed, for food, for fame, for wealth, for sex, or for sleep, has brought us trouble, has brought us disasters. Every time we've kept the 5 precepts of not killing, not stealing, no sexual misconduct, no false speech, no drugs or intoxicants, not even thoughts of those. We've always been okay, and there's been really magical responses around us. So the heart of this whole pilgrimage is that we've learned a whole lot. And of all the looks like bitterness and suffering and cultivation, there's none that isn't happiness. It says, the hells, the hungry ghost, and the animals, King Yama's realm, all animosity, hatred, conflict, slander, and insult, all these evils are caused by greed and attachment to the 5 desires. So this is what the Master was saying when he said, have you died yet? Because if I was embarrassed to go back and bow again in front of the assembly and come up here again, if I had that much of a blush in my face, then the Emperor hasn't died yet. Then desire hasn't died yet. And because desire hasn't died yet, then disasters go on. So Heng Chau and I really feel that if we can get rid of our own desire by a little bit, then the whole world's better by a little bit. And that if we hold on to our little desire and think, well, it's just a little desire and it's mine, then the whole world is polluted by that much little desire. And so it says the Bodhisattva who looks at all of this and figures out, gee, we're all connected. No man is an island. Everything we do touches each other. He looks at this and realizes this, and he reduces his greed for the flavor of the 5 desires. So as a result, we were really trying to get rid of our greed for food. We eat a lot differently now than we did when we started. We eat a lot of sweets and really good food when we started, and found that it brought a lot of trouble. I've really tried to control and reduce my sexual desire because more than anything, this is the heart of all desires. Because of I greed for others because I can't see through myself, because I'm confused about myself, I'm confused about others. And because of that, on this trip I almost died because of my sexual desire. In fact, it was in Malacca during the Asian tour that the fruit of my sexual desire came to ripeness, and I almost died. And if it weren't for the compassion of the Master, I'd be scattered back to the 4 elements right now, and who knows where my soul might be. For sure in King Yama's region. And so that taught me a lesson, that what's sweet has really bitter fruit. And what looks bitter really brings a sweet heart, a sweet mind. And so it's been a little easier because of that to put down my greed for women, and to see it really clearly that it's not women, but it's my own selfishness that I can't turn around. And so it said, once you stop seeking, you can stop worrying. And then you can reach true ultimate happiness. So I wish to say that we've tried our best to die, and we maybe just got a little sick. So I'm going to keep on bowing. And I hope that what we've learned is of value used by all living beings. What we've done has been good because we followed instructions. What we've done hasn't been good. It's brought trouble because of our selfishness and our inability to die. So die too. I hope we all die together and get reborn together. I don't know, we haven't read the news, so we don't know these people. Maybe that's not so good. But I hope you die anyhow. I hope we all die together. And I hope we all stay together and meet time and time again to cultivate the way together and to help each other reach the path. We transfer at the end of all our day of bowing to the city here and to all living beings to end disasters and calamities, and so that all of us together can accomplish Buddhahood. And I really hope that this may be so. So I've got my hat on today because I shaved my head and a blister. I should stop talking. Teaching the way to all.
知不知道这个果婷啊，也很久没有讲话了，就发了讲话的神经了，所以一讲就讲了100个钟头。
Everybody, in case you don't know it, Dharma Master Heng Chau hasn't talked in a long time. Today got a chance to talk, and he went into a kind of talking insanity and talked for 100 hours.
No enough. Still no enough.他也不管你们在这晒的怎么样，晒干了、晒死了，他都不管的。
Didn't pay any attention to whether or not everybody was just sitting here hiding in the sun and getting all dried out, peanut butter and dried to death.
我是受不了了。
I personally can't stand it.
我想要跑也跑不了了，你说怎么办？
I really had itchy feet. I wanted to get out of here. But I couldn't do it.
我不再多讲一句话了，多讲一句话他会出汗了。
I'm not going to say another thing if I really have to begin and start firing.
OK。
英语大众参观。请你坐下，请你们坐下啊！我就是要请你们下去。他是沙弥，你不需要经历他，经历我好了。 不多讲话，就是要简单的说几句。那个我讲的最要紧是信心。这个信心是如果要讲讲了半天也讲不完，讲了多年也讲不完。这个心是无尽法藏。那么我自己这次3步礼拜，可以说有什么就以前没有的，现在有信心。那么信什么？就信佛、信法、信僧。那个《华严经》里边，二回向菩萨，这个金刚不坏心这个菩萨，他有10个不坏心是什么？他就信三世一切佛，他也信菩萨，就是连初发心菩萨他也发信心。那么他也信一切佛法，他也信一切，还有不坏心对于所有一切佛的教训。那么他也对所有一切众生也发不坏心，那么不坏信心。他也对于所有一切白经法也发信心。And I learned that anger causes wars in that way. It's a direct relationship. So we've learned the source of wars is your own heart. And it's way by controlling our own anger, just not giving rise to anger inside or not giving rise to anger outside towards any being, anywhere. We don't destruct ourselves and we don't cause trouble for others. We don't make wars in the world. The third thing we transfer to every day is that the city of 10,000 Buddhas might be quickly and easily accomplished for the sake of all beings in the world. And we really believe, we have indestructible faith, that this is the source of a lot of goodness in the world. And as I bow to everybody in the assembly and cause noisy trouble, as the Master says, I'm bowing to 10,000 Buddhas. I'm bowing to 10,000 Buddhas in your hearts, and I'm bowing to 10,000 Buddhas in my heart, and I'm bowing to 10,000 Buddhas in empty space all around. So that's what Sanbui Bai has been to me, and it's been a source of indestructible faith in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, in all pure white Dharmas that can be transferred, in Bodhisattva Dharma masters, in the Buddhist teachings, like cause and effect, like giving is the practice of happiness. We've learned that giving is the practice of happiness. And I bow to I have indestructible faith in Bodhisattva Dharma masters, indestructible faith in the Buddhist spiritual penetrations, indestructible faith in the clever, expedient means of great bodhisattvas who can take ignorant living beings like this one, and no matter how greedy, no matter how hateful, no matter how many false views we have, they can trick us into going towards the good. And that's my indestructible faith.
Still have amper 存在，只有阿佛的心，心意思 the emperor, no emperor.大家看他像不像个皇帝？
Dharma Master Heng Chau says that he's still an emperor inside. So everybody should take a good look at him and let's figure out, is he an emperor? Does he look like an emperor?
一是皇帝，眼睛里面是皇帝，是嘴巴是皇帝，耳朵是皇帝。
Did an emperor's nose? Are the eyes the emperor? Or does he have emperor ears?
是emperor mouth。 什么是皇帝？
Just exactly what is it about the emperor? Or what is it?
为什么他说这话呢？他自己大家觉得自己坐在这个地方讲话，那么这个果真的站在那儿讲话，他自己一比较啊，大家这个皇帝又现出来了。就是我告诉你。
Why am I bringing this up? Because he's figuring out now that he sat up behind the podium to lecture, and Dharma Master sure stood down on the ground. So he probably figured this means that the emperor is shown something.
I'm still the emperor. And now I'm at the city of 10,000 Buddhas, and maybe some people are thinking, well, at the very least, maybe they're enlightened now, or they have some kind of spiritual penetration. And all I can say is that I feel really shamed because I give off this impression, and it's not the case. Every day I false think. Every day I have attachments. Every day I do bad things. Every day I have bad thoughts towards Heng Chau. Every day I feel like the masters tricked me into cultivating. Every day I false think, well, maybe I could still be a layman and do this.
Yes, yes.
But then I think, no, I can't be a layman and do this because it makes me sick. I can't go back. I get sick going back. All I can do is be a left-home person. I've been tricked. So I think all these things. So where's the pure and lofty in this? So I feel ashamed. And yet I tell these stories and you don't know that what's really going on. The man got up and spoke and said, yes, like the sea, very simple on the surface, but underneath very complex.